Let's look at the question. Julio is going to buy a shirt for $14. How much tax will he pay for the item if the tax rate is 7%? With a question like this, I want to be able to change my statement into an equation based on identifying appropriate words. In this case, we're looking at our tax rate, and specifically we want how much tax will be paid. So we need to understand that tax is based upon the amount that one has purchased, which in this case is $14. For our statement, tax is. So what did it tell us tax is? Tax is 7%, but since we use the total amount purchased to base tax off of, we can say that tax is 7% of $14. So from this we'll build an equation. Tax is what I want, I'll call it T. 7% I need is decimal, so I'll change that and make it 0.07. Of is interpreted as multiplication, 14 is 14. We can figure out the tax by figuring out what is 7% of $14. And when I multiply that out, I'll end up with 0.98, which in our context means 98 cents. So we can say the tax on a $14 item is 98 cents. The mix that Patty wants to purchase costs $229. How much sales tax will she pay if the sales tax rate is 6%? What will the final cost of the mixture be? For a question like this involving tax, I need to understand how tax is figured out. Tax is always based off the total amount of a purchase. It's always the tax rate times that amount. So I'm going to use that to set up an equation from the statement that I am given. We say tax is 6% of $229. Using that statement, I can make an equation. Tax is the unknown, so what I want, so I'm going to call it T. Is interpreted as an equal sign. I'll use 6%, but I need it as a decimal, so I'll change it by dividing by 100, and I get 0.06. Of is interpreted as multiplication. 229 is 229. I'll be doing 0.06 times 229. So the tax on this is $13.74. Now finally I need to answer what is the total cost of this item. Total cost is the base cost of the item plus tax that you pay. So lastly I'll add 229 to my tax, and that will give me $242.74. Let's look at the question where Catherine wants to buy a couch with a sticker price of $535. After a 6% sales tax, what is the final cost? The couch is $535, tax is 6%. We'll set up an equation. So we'll say tax is 6% of $535. From this I can make an equation, because I first need to figure out what the tax actually is. So tax is what I'm currently looking for. I'll call that T. Is interpreted as an equal sign in these situations. 6% I want to use, but I need it as a decimal. So divide by 100 changes it to the number 0.06. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign, and 535 is 535. So to find the tax, I'll multiply 535 by 0.06 first. This comes out to be 32.1. And since this is dollars and cents, I'm going to interpret this as $32.10. This gives us my tax, but I still need to know the overall cost of this couch. So to find that, I'll add to my sales tax the original value of the item to figure out my total cost, which is $567.10. Let's look at the question where Silas found a cell phone he would like to purchase. He has $84 to spend. If the price is $79 and the tax rate is 6%, does Silas have enough money? To solve this problem, we need to set up a statement from which we can create an equation that we can solve. We calculate sales tax by taking the percentage times the overall amount. So we need to find the total amount, the total cost of this item, and make sure that it's less than $84. I'll say tax is, again, 6% in this case, of my total cost, which was, again, $79. Using this as a starting point, I can make my equation. Since tax is what I currently want, I'll call it T. Is interpreted as an equal sign. I want to use 6%, but I need it as a decimal. So I'll divide by 100, the effect of which makes this 0.06. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign, and 79 is 79. So to first I'll find the sales tax. I'll need to do 0.06 times 79, which gives me a sales tax of $4.74. I need to know what's the total amount that I would have to pay for this particular item, or in this case with the stylus. So to my tax, I will add my original amount, which was $79, and I'll end up with $83.74. Now we know we can purchase this, or Silas can purchase this, because this is less than the $84 that he currently has. So since that amount is less than what is available, this purchase can be made. Silas can get the cell phone. Let's look at the question where Sally bought a pair of earrings for $125 and paid $8.75 in sales. What is the tax rate for the state where she bought the item? So for a problem like this involving sales tax, it helps to understand the definitions of sales tax, which is always whatever the percent is multiplied times the original amount. And from that statement, we'll make an equation. Tax is a certain percent, unknown, so I'll call it X, of our overall value, which in this case was $125. Now the difference here is we know what the tax actually is. It was $8.75. So from this basic definition, we'll make an equation saying that $8.75 is interpreted as an equal sign. Now X% is what we are looking for. So for now, what is called X of is interpreted as multiplication. 125 is 125. So the equation that I have is 8.75 is equal to 125x. So now to solve, for x I will have to divide each side by 125 to isolate my variable. So after my division, I'll get the value 0.07. Now this is the decimal equivalent of my percent. Asking for the actual sales tax rate, we need this as a percent. So I'll do so by multiplying by 100. The effect is the decimal point is moved 2 spaces to the right. So in this case, 7% is the sales tax of this particular state. Let's look at the question where the cost of a salon visit was $55, not including tip, and an $11 tip was given to the stylist. What percent of the cost was the tip? With a question like this, since we're looking for percent, so from that I'll make a statement, and then I can deduce an equation from that. Tip is some percent, which we don't know, I'll refer to as X, of the total value of the purchase, which was $55. Now I also know that the tip was $11, so I'll put that in. Is interpreted as an equal sign. Now, X% is what I want, so that's unknown. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign, and 55 is 55. So I'm left with the equation 11 equals 55x. If I'm going to solve for x, I'll need to isolate my x on one side, meaning that I'll get rid of my 55 by dividing each side by 55. When I reduce, I'll have x on one side, and 11 divided by 55 comes out to be 0.2. And since I'm asking for a percentage, I have that answer in decimal form, so my last step is to multiply by 100, changing it to percent form. The effect of which is I take my decimal point, move the 2 spaces to the right, and I'm left with 20%. So we say at this particular salon, an $11 tip on a $55 style is 20%. Bridget applied to take classes at the local community college. Due to a program with her employer, she only had to pay 75% of the tuition. If a 3-credit course cost $1,101, how much did she have to pay? For a question like this, I want to use statements in my question to make an equation. Well, according to the words, she pays 75% of the tuition. So her payment is 75% of tuition. From this statement, I'll make an equation. Payment I'll call P. Is interpreted as an equal sign. I want to use 75%, but I can't use percentages in my equation, so I'll change it to a decimal by dividing by 100, the effect of which moves the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. So 0.75. Of is interpreted as multiplication, and tuition was given to us. That is $1,101. So what this is actually asking is, what is 0.75 times 1101? So this gives us $825.75. So we can say that she has to pay $825.75, and the rest would be covered by her employer. Delia sold a house to one of her clients for $125,000. Her commission rate is 5% of the selling price of the house. How much commission did she earn? For a problem like this, since I'm using percentages, from the original question I wanted to be able to derive an equation looking for key terms. The commission is 5% of the selling price So commission is what I want. I'll interpret that as my variable. I'll call it C. Is interpreted as a equal sign. 5% I want to use, but I can't use it as a percentage in my equation, so I need to change it to a decimal, which means I'll divide by 100, the effect of which is move the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. So now I have 0.05. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign, and the selling price was $125,000. This means to find the commission, I'll take 0.05 times 125,000, and I'm left with 6,250. So again, I'm looking for the commission that was earned, which is $6,250. Jamie earns a commission of 4% on his sales. He received a commission check of $1,440 for the month of April. How much did he sell in April? So commission is 4% of whatever Jamie happens to sell. I'll say in general, commission is a percent, in this case 4% of, in general, I'll say sales. From this I'll make an equation. Now I'm told that the commission actually is $1,440 for this particular month of April. So $1,440 is interpreted as an equal sign. I want to use 4%, but I need it as a decimal. So divide by 100, the effect of which is move the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. So 0.04. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign, and sales is what I do not know. It's what I want to figure out. How much did he sell? So I'll call it S. So I have the equation 1440 equals 0.04S. So to find the amount, I'll divide each side by 0.04 to isolate my S. And when I divide 1440 by 0.04, I'll get 36,000. So the question is, what were Jamie's total sales? In this case, it was $36,000. If Josh sold a house for $235,000 last month and got a commission check for $14,100, what was his commission rate? We're looking for what rate, what percentage of $235,000 will give us $14,100. So from that, I can make a statement which I'll change into an equation. Commission is X% of the total sales. I'll just call it sales. Now what am I given? I know what my commission should be. So I'll say $14,100. Is interpreted as an equal sign. X is unknown, so I'm going to leave it as X. Of is interpreted as a multiplication sign. And the total sales of this house were $235,000. So to find the commission rate, I'm really solving the equation. 14,100 is equal to X times $235,000. So to solve for X, I'll isolate it, which means I'll have to divide each side by $235,000. My X will have a coefficient of 1. And when I divide 14,100 by 235,000, I get 0.06. Now this is our percent, but as a decimal. So we need to change this decimal to a percent, and we'll do so by multiplying by 100, the effect of which moves the decimal point 2 spaces to the right. Gives me the number 6, and I'll say 6% is the commission rate of Josh. In the state of Maryland, the sales tax rate had been 5% until January 1st, 2008, when it was raised to 6%. Some citizens felt that 1% was not a big deal. The Greens wanted to purchase a big screen television to watch the Super Bowl that year. The television cost $3,000. How much would they have saved if they had bought it before January 1st, 2008? Before January 1st, 2008, sales tax was 5%. We say the tax is 5% of some value that's purchased. After that, we say tax is 6% of a value purchased. Tax is a percentage, so X% of, I'll say, total cost. Tax is what I want, so I'll say T is interpreted as an equal sign. Before 2008, it was 5%. So it's decimal. I'll divide by 100, make it 0.05. Again, we can't have percentages in the equation that we work with. We always want decimals. Of is interpreted as multiplication. Total cost of this particular television is $3,000. Now after January 1st, 2008, I have a new equation. T, our tax, is equal to, from is, our new percentage is 6%. Let's change it to a decimal. I'll divide by 100, make it 0.06, times the total cost, which is $3,000. So I'm comparing my two individual sales tax amounts to see which is a better deal. So in the first one, I'll say 0.05 times 3,000, and that gives me $150 in sales tax before 2008. After 2008, say 0.06 times 3,000 gives me $180. What this means is before 2008, the Greens would have paid $150 in sales tax. After 2008, after January 1st, they would instead pay $180 in sales tax. So clearly, 6% gives you a greater sales tax. The question is, how much would they have saved? So we say, what's the difference between 180 and 50? I'll subtract $30. So if the Greens would have bought in before 2008 as opposed to after 2008, they would have saved $30 on the sales tax.
The temperature outside was 75 degrees in the afternoon. It dropped 44% during the day. What temperature was it in the evening? Round the answer to the nearest degree. The first question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is 44% of 75? This is in the form part is percent of whole. We can do this problem using the proportion method by saying percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. In this problem, we know our percent is 44. We also know that our whole is 75. We are missing the part. We can fill in our proportion and say 44 as a percent over 100 is equal to part, which we don't know, over whole, which is 75. We will cross multiply, and we get 3,300 is equal to 100 t. To solve for t, we will divide both sides by 100, and we get 33 is equal to t. This is the number of degrees that the temperature dropped. The question asks, what is the temperature in the evening? So we take the original temperature, which is 75 degrees, and we subtract 33 degrees, and we end up with 42 degrees. Cassidy earns $54,300 this year. Due to a promotion, she will get a 3% raise for next year. What is the dollar amount of her raise? What will her salary be next year? The question we will ask ourselves is, what is 3% of $54,300. This will give us the dollar amount of her raise. This form of question is in part is percent of whole. We don't know our part. Is the equal sign. We will change the percent to a decimal. Of means to multiply. So, in order to determine the amount of her raise, we will multiply 0.03 times 54,300. The amount of her raise is then $1,629. In order to figure out what her salary will be next year, we will add the amount of her raise to the salary she has this year. So we will add 54,300 plus 1,629 for a total salary for next year of 55,929.
Heather finds that there will be a 25% off sale at her favorite store. She decides to wait to buy the outfit she likes as it costs $76 until the sale. How much will the outfit cost on sale? For a problem like this, we want to understand sales and how they work. In this case, 25% off is based upon the original amount, which in this case is $76. Now there are two ways of looking at it. One is, what is 25% of $76? What is 25% or whatever the percent is of the original amount? That amount is then taken from the original. Or, if it's 25% off, that means there's still 75% that must be paid. And we say, what is 75% of the original amount? So the first part, we look at it as a statement as the sale is X% off the original. So in this case, the sale, which is what we're looking for, I'll call it S, is equal to X%, I know what that is, 25%. I need to change it to a decimal, so divide by 100. The effect is move the decimal point 2 spaces to the left, giving me 0.25. Off the original is interpreted the same way as of, so the original price is $76. So here's my equation. First way is figuring out what is 25% of $76, and that is the amount that is saved. So I'm going to multiply 76 times 0.25. I'll get 19. So this means that the amount that is saved by Heather is $19. So the sale means that $19 is taken off from the original, so I'll say 76 minus 19 gives me $57 is the new value. For part B, we interpret it as if the sale is X% off, or in this case 25% off, that means 75% is paid, meaning that I took 25 from 100. We're looking at it this way as we're actually paying for 75% of the original amount. So what we're paying, I'll call it P, is interpreted as an equal sign, 75%. Now I want to use that, so I'll change it to a decimal by dividing by 100. Moves my decimal point 2 spaces to the left, so I have 0.75 of the original amount, means I'll multiply it times 76, and when I do, my new price will be $57, same as the other way. So these are two ways of doing this type of problem. April purchased a Raven sweatshirt for $45. This was 30% off the original price. What was the original price of the sweatshirt? For a problem like this, I need to understand how sales and sales percentages work. If it was 30% off the original price, that means 70% was actually paid, because 30 plus 70 is 100. And we know what the new price is, so we're going to use that to figure out what is the original price. Or I'll think of it in general terms as whatever is paid is a certain percent of the original amount in regards to sales. For a sale, you only pay a certain percentage of the original. Obviously, you don't pay the full amount. So what was paid? $45 was paid for the sweatshirt. Is interpreted as an equal sign. Now what percent do we use? We are told that 30% was the sale. So that means instead that 70% was actually paid of the original amount. 30% was taken off. That still leaves us with 70% of the original amount. So I change it to a decimal by dividing by 100. The effect is it moves the decimal point 2 spaces to the left, which gives me 0.7 or 0.70. Is interpreted as multiplication. The original is what we are trying to find out, what the sweatshirt was originally worth. So to get that, I'm solving the equation. 45 equals 0.7x. So to solve for x, I'll divide each side by 0.7 to isolate my variable. And when I do, I divide 45 by 0.7, I'll get 64.2857. Now since we're dealing with dollars and cents, and we have no other rounding instructions, by default I'll round this to 2 decimal places. So I'll say 64 and 29 cents was the original price. So a sweatshirt that was originally $64.29, 30% off, allows for the payment of $45.